on, people? Well, shit. On one of my lives, sometimes I get on topics, and people aren't going to watch my live because my lives tend to be 2 or 3 hours long, and you know, I tell stories or do things. So this was a crazy cop story that I told during one of my lives when someone asked, "What do I think makes a good cop?" So it takes a while to get to the crazy cop story, but it comes. But I want to give you on how I got there. Alien. I'm telling you, man, you people are brutal. Good luck, America. What do you think makes a good cop versus a cop who's indifferent? That's probably a good question. To me, a good cop, he believes in the law. He follows the law. He knows that his job is to catch bad people, but it's also to serve the public and to catch the bad people, to stop evil where he can. He's given the power, the gun, and the ability to stop evil and protect people from evil people so they don't have to get down and dirty. And that's kind of his job. I think a cop's job should be kind of taking out the trash. It's kind of a dirty job. It shouldn't be a cush. I got blonde hair and I get to be a public PR speaker because, you know, I lose my earring under the chief's desk every week. That's not what a cop should be. A cop should be, what did one guy call it? He goes, man, cops are gardeners of society. We always got to go in and pull out the weeds. If we don't, man, they'll just freaking take over the garden. So he thought cops were the gardeners of society. And every time we went out there and got bad people, we were pulling the weeds. Otherwise, the weeds will take over. And it's kind of a not a bad theory. So, I mean, look, a good cop needs to understand that I do work for the people. Although I'm a government employee, government should be held in check. I shouldn't do things illegal. I shouldn't do things unlawful. I shouldn't be above the law, because if I'm above the law, then it gives me power, and then it leads to corruption. So I need to follow the law. I need to be better than criminals, but I need to get the criminals, but I need to serve the community. And at worst case scenario, I think the oath of a cop ought to be kind of like with a doctor. One of the first rules of a doctor is do no evil, or do no wrong, or don't make it worse. I don't know what the Hippocratic Oath does, but I think there's some part in a doctor's oath that says something about do no wrong. And I think as a cop, part of the oath ought to be, I do no evil. Don't be the bad guy. Don't, you know, there's saying I have on my website. What is it? Don't become, let's think like a horse. Don't think like a cop. I must be careful not to become, hang on, I'll find it. These are like all my little sayings on my website. Wars, government telling you revolution when you figure out student, master. The first call to war is truth. An intellectual is not one who knows, but who knows he thinks a lot. Yeah. Whoever fights. Oh, whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process, he does not become a monster. That's the big problem, I think, with cops. Is we get out there and it's very easy to fall into this spiral of I'm dealing with trash and I'm catching people and I'm doing good and I'm stopping evil, and therefore the ends justify the means. And I think I was there at one point to where I thought I was a little holier now, that even if I bend the rules a little bit, it was for the greater good. So it was okay. And I think that's where cops kind of get caught up and we lose our focus to where that's why I think it ought to be a highly moral and ethical. It ought to be encouraged that cops stop other cops and say, hey, dude, knock that shit off. Instead, it's a death sentence. If you correct a cop, you're not for the blue line. You're not a team player. We can't trust you. We need to feel safe with you. We need to feel comfortable with other cops. You can't call a bad cop out, because then other cops won't feel comfortable with you because you might call them out. My theory is, if you ain't doing nothing wrong, I don't give a fuck. Call me out. I don't care. I ain't doing shit wrong. So I ain't got to worry about you calling me out. So therefore, I can call you out when I see you do shit. But that is a very, very rare attitude in the cop field. I'm not saying I'm special. I'm just saying it's very rare because not a lot of people that are willing to take. I had a military retirement, so that kind of gave me a benefit to where I wasn't beholden to government as much as the other cops. The money was good. I wanted a second retirement. I liked the money. I liked the benefits. I liked, you know, but I wasn't like, a guy who didn't have anything, and I was working for a retirement, and the government had me by the balls because they would take away my medical from my kids and my family. And because I didn't have family or kids to worry about, I had to worry about me. I was able to be a certain way that a lot of other people weren't. I mean, the government gets you in there with these benefits, and they suck you in with this pay and this time off and this sick leave and this health fit and this benefit and that benefit and a take-home car and free this and free that and free. And you get caught up into that, and then you get beholden to where it's like, what would I do without this? I can't give this up. And then you get to the point to where government can get you to do anything. They can get you to lie. They can tell you, you better be a team player, and you better not sell us out, or you better not go against us, or we're going to take away all this shit we gave you. When government can give you shit, they can take it away. And all government employees are beholden to their government pensions and jobs. So what makes a good cop versus bad cop? You know what? I think most cops, when they come in, are probably want to be good cops. But it gets lost in the blue line and the laws and the judges and the bad supervisors and the political PC shit and the crooked mayors. And then all this shit starts affecting you, and you start losing your way to where it's like you become just a fight to survival. And once you get in that fight to survival mode, then it gets in, you know what? Cops are my only friends. Administration ain't friends. The public ain't my friend. The judges ain't my friends. The lawyers ain't my friend. No, my cops are my own friends. Therefore, I find more loyalty to that blue line. And I must fall into that because these guys are my only friends. So I want to belong. I better belong to these guys. So I can't turn them in. So I have to turn a blind eye. So I can't call people out. See, when you live in, when you call people out, you kind of put yourself in a glass house. And I tell you the story where the DA told me, you know, they were coming after me for some bullshit. And I was like, man, that's fucking bullshit. And he goes, Rick, he goes, you can't run around wearing a freaking target and expect people not to shoot at you. Not shoot. I think he said, you can't run around wearing a target and expect people not to shoot arrows at it. He goes, you are a highly involved, highly visible. You make a lot of arrests. You succeed. You do a lot of things really well. And you put a target on your back. And he goes, people are going to shoot arrows at you. He goes, anytime you succeed and become higher or better than somebody, they're going to shoot arrows at you. So he goes, you know, it's part of the course. He was just trying to tell me, accept it. Don't come in here fucking whining to me that, you know, this is bullshit, that the chief or somebody shouldn't be able to do that. He goes, look, you go out there, set a standard, a high standard, people are going to shoot arrows at you. And he's right. So if you go out there and turn cops in, you better be freaking doing shit right, because they're going to fucking be after your ass. You better be above board on everything if you're going to work internal affairs, because every cop is going to be trying to find something to slam your ass on, unless you're just working internal affairs to suck them in because you get promised promotion. A lot of people go from internal affairs to the next promotion. So you have to do internal affairs, because most cops don't want to do internal affairs because they got to turn in cops, and they know what the cops are doing. They don't want to go after their buddies. So you don't want to work internal affairs. So the only people who work internal affairs want to get promoted. The only way to get people in internal affairs is to say you're going to get promotion if you do a year or 2 years in internal affairs. So people go to internal affairs, get promoted. So then they turn the cops off, et cetera, but they know they're going to come out and they're not going to have to work with the guys because they're going to be promoted. So they don't have to depend on those guys. So, I mean, there's just so many facets that make a good cop and a bad cop. To me, I mean, I just don't know if there's a recipe that I could write down for a good cop. To me, it's just doing the right thing, being good in who you are, and not falling into that blue line, team player, you got to be one of us shit. That just used to drive me nuts. And believe me, I can't tell you the number of times I've heard, Rick's not a team player. You know, he can't be counted on if things go bad. Not things go bad like at a warrant and shots are fired or entry, or we need a fucking, you know, a pit bull to go in and get somebody. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about things going bad, like if we need to cook the books, or, you know, I don't know if I told this crazy cop story or not, but when I took over the child abduction unit, we had a safe of money in case we had to like go grab a kid, go buy a plane, go to something. So we had this money, and it was, I want to say it was like $5,000 cash in a safe that the investigator was in charge of. I had the key, I had a combination, I had to recount for it. It was there. And so I take over as the investigator of the child abduction. So when I'm going out, this guy I have to sign that I'm taking over his safe. And this guy, who later became a lieutenant, I talk about him a lot, Dan Strosky, piece of shit. I tell all kind of stories about him and his wife switching bullets, finding kiddie porn on his fucking computer, and they deleted it. I mean, this guy was just a mess everywhere he went, and he was promoted to lieutenant because he was the chief's buddy. But anyway, so I take over. He's the guy in child abduction. I'm taking over. So he goes, hey, man, you got to sign for the safe. We keep some money in here. He goes, here, just sign here. I go, dude, I'm not going to sign. I was in the military. See, most of the guys might have signed that shit. But me being in the military, if you sign for shit, that shit better be right because you're responsible for it. So when he said, sign, I go, what am I signing? He goes, oh, you're signing this. He goes, we keep money in here. It's just petty cash fund. He goes, just sign here. And he tried to get me signed without counting or open. Even he opened and safe. He wanted me to sign this. I go, dude, Dan, I ain't signing this without seeing what the hell I'm signing for. I said, where is there a ledger? He goes, yeah, there's a book in there. It's got the ledger. I go, I need to see the ledger. Come on, man. We just got to turn this over. Just sign right here, man. We got to. I go, dude, I got to see a ledger. Man, that ain't cool. You don't trust me? You think I'm going to rip you off? And dude, I got to see the ledger. So he opens the safe. I go, there's fucking IOUs. There ain't cash in there. There's fucking IOUs from him. I owe you $20. I owe you $40. Other investigators would come down there for fucking loans. Total misuse of this money. This money was designated for child abduction issues. If I needed to buy a kid a car seat, if I needed to buy a kid clothes because we got some kid, and when we took her into custody, she didn't have any clothes. We had to buy her clothes. This was emergency money for child abduction issues, and this guy was using it as a slush fund for the other investigators who couldn't manage their money and borrowing money from it and putting IOUs in there. And I'm like, Dan, what the fuck are these IOUs? He goes, oh man, it's cool. They signed it here. This is from the chief. He took $40 this day. He'll give it back. There's an IOU. And I'm like, I ain't signing motherfucking money for IOUs. I said, this motherfucker says I got to sign for $5,000. I need $5,000. Man, that's bullshit. I'm going, that's fucking bullshit. I go, I ain't signing for this. So I go to my supervisor who didn't like the chief and who didn't like this guy because he knew he was a piece of shit. He didn't even like me because he thought I was a hot dog and a hardcore. But he didn't like this guy because he knew he was a lazy piece of shit. So he disliked both of us for different reasons. But I went to him and I go, yo, Pete, I ain't signing for that. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, there's $5,000 petty cash. He goes, you got to sign for it. I said, there's fucking IOUs. He goes, what do you mean there's IOUs? I go, there's IOUs, there ain't cash. He goes, bullshit. I go, motherfucker, there's IOUs. Come look. He walks down there. He goes, what the fuck? Well, this time, this lieutenant had been up to the chief and already got him on the phone. And so the chief comes running down to me. He goes, hey, don't worry about it, Rick. Everybody who owes you money, I'm gonna make sure it's paid. He goes, here's the money that I owe. And it was the chief was like, because he knew I wasn't gonna fucking fold. The chief knew, yo, man, we got to get this fucking money. Rick ain't gonna sign for that shit. And fucking the chief paid me like within an hour of me telling him I ain't signing for it. The chief was paying his IOU. He was down there putting money in for his IOU. I had other investigators coming in. Hey, man, I got an IOU in there. The chief said I need to get this squared up. I had 5,000 cash when I signed for it. But because my supervisor didn't like him, he started an investigation. Well, the chief didn't want that. And he told him to stop the investigation. And he did it anyway. And he ended up getting in trouble for running an unauthorized investigation on this guy because the chief told him to stop and he didn't stop, even though he found all kind of bad shit. He got crucified. He was written up and told to stand down. So anyway, I don't even know if I ever told that crazy cop story. I'm just sitting here thinking about it. And I mean, that the team player shit, I hated that. And everybody that had to come in and pay their IOU, it was Rick's fault. Rick wasn't a team player. Rick wasn't going to allow it. Rick wanted cash. Rick didn't want to go along with the program. It was Rick's fault for wanting the fucking cash that I was signing for doing the right thing. So to me, it became almost a badge of honor sometime when they would kind of, oh, we got this investigation. We don't need you on this one, Rick. We'll handle it. I knew they were up to no good, but I was like, fine. I don't want to be involved in your fucking dumbass shit anyway. So I would go do my cases or whatever else. But I knew when I was kept on a case and the certain team people were the only one involved, they were doing dirty shit. I mean, the other investigators used to say they would hide dead bodies for each other in their cars, in their police cars. I mean, we just had no faith in them, but nobody could say nothing because he was the chief and chief worked for the DA. The DA hired him. The DA appointed him. And if you went against the chief, you were going against the DA. You were creating plums. You weren't a team player. I mean, I mean, incidents like that to me is where you find out where people stand. I mean, there was one dude that came down and paid, and he goes, dude, I completely forgot about this. He goes, I'm sorry. I don't blame you for not fucking paying. I wouldn't do it either. He goes, I didn't even want to borrow this money. He goes, we were out eating. And Dan goes, here, man, I'll give you $20. Don't worry about it. I'll just take it out of the petty cash. So this guy was running around paying shit, and he run in there and write IOUs for other people. And he goes, we went out to lunch, and Dan just says, hey, man, I'll give you $20. He goes, I borrowed $20 for him. He said he was going to put IOU in here. He goes, I just never even thought about it, man. He never asked for the money. He goes, I'm sorry. He goes, here you go, man. He goes, it's cool. So he was one of the good dudes that was like, I'm okay with what you did. The rest of the guys, yo, man, here's the money. I heard you had a problem with it. Or it was fucking attitude. And I'm like, whatever. You know, you want to sign for the motherfucker? And I even told my boss, I said, I ain't signing for that shit. I said, if you want to sign for it, you take over the fucking money. You sign for the IOUs. I ain't fucking doing it. And but he was like me. He was like, because he was a big rule guy. And that's why me and him didn't really get along at first, because he was a big kind of by the rules, and he thought I kind of pushed the rules a little bit, and I was a little hot dog on my own a little bit. So he didn't like me. Once we worked together, he came out to be one of my biggest supporters. We became good friends. He liked me because he found out that I did good work, and I didn't bend the rules. And when I bend the rules, I was right, and I did good shit. So we got along. But at first, it was this. I mean, when he took over, literally, he got back to me that he said, yo, man, just so you know, one of the other lieutenants came to me and goes, just so you know, man, Pete said his focus is to get you dialed in and get you dialed in. He needs to pull in the reins on you. And I go, really? He goes, yep. I go, okay, whatever. I mean, I just did my fucking job, whatever. We'll see how it goes. And he did. He called me in a couple of times, and we kind of went toe to toe a couple of times. But he was a good dude. He wanted things done right once he figured out. Because see, a lot of people would dog me because I was a hot dog and did a lot of shit. They would say, yeah, he's probably out there doing this. So there was a lot of rumors that I must be doing something illegal because I'm getting all these felony arrests. It's just not, we aren't getting those. So he must be doing something he's not supposed to. I don't trust him. He's got to be doing something. Why would he get all these guns? And so there was those, the people that felt bad because they couldn't do it would try and tear you down, shoot arrows at you. And so that rumor was going on. He probably heard that. So he was like, he was going to pull the reins in and get the bottom of me. And matter of fact, I don't think I changed one bit when he got in there. But we got on the same shit in music, and he was a good supporter. So anyway, that was fucking money. I couldn't believe IO fucking you. Are you kidding me? You get fucking government funds that are supposed to be used for child abduction to buy them shit and to take care of emergency situations, and you're lending it out and using it as your private fucking bank? Are you kidding me? And not only did he do it, he got away with it. It was wrong, and he got promoted to lieutenant. Rick, you didn't get promoted because you were a team player. Yeah, that's probably true. Oh, here I am, lizard. All right, well, in that there, like they say, money, alcohol, women, most murders involve these three. Drugs could be in there with alcohol. Alcohol is a drug, but you get these three, and that's what murder's made of. Love, money, chasing a woman, chasing the drugs and alcohol. You don't play around with money. Anybody been in the military know you don't pay money. You'll notice in this crazy cop story that the investigator was in charge of the money and not the attorney, not the child abduction attorney. They didn't give him the money. And that's because freaking DA probably didn't trust other freaking lawyers. But anyway, I digress. That was that story. It was kind of funny later on after we got that straight. My boss, Pete, would come down, and I kind of forgot. I didn't think about it till I was uploading this. He would come down like once a month because we were talking about it, and he was like, how the hell does this happen? I go, because you got lazy-ass supervisors that don't do shit. That's how it happens. So we knew that nobody was checking, and, because he was the chief's son, the chief's boy, nobody checked on him, nobody wanted to question him. And that's what happens in police a lot, is if you're connected to someone, if you're sleeping with someone, you get good jobs, and you're not held accountable, and nobody wants to mess with you, because they know if you mess with the higher-up's friend, you're going to get in trouble and put a target on you. And so me and the boss would talk about it. So every once in a while, he'd come down there and he goes, hey, man, are there any IOUs in a safe? I go, hell no, there ain't no damn IOUs. I said, you want a combination? I said, open it up. You can check. I don't care. I said, the book's there. He goes, how much money we got? I go, we got $5,000. That's what we were supposed to have. And, it was just crazy the shit they use that money for. They would
they would act like it was their, like all politicians and government, they would act like it's their money, and they would give it away like it was their money to make friends. So if there was a child abduction, a big event, or we had to do a briefing, they'd want to go out and buy donuts with that money, and they would want to, you know, buy refreshments with that money and say, hey, it's related to child abduction. That's not the intent of the money. But you know what? That's just how government is. You give them money, they're going to freaking spend it. All right, we'll end that there.